Hey Bills Mafia, the Buffalo Bills are in full off-season mode, making moves, evaluating talent, and gearing up for another big season. As always, the goal is to get better, to fine-tune this team, and to put the best possible squad on the field. When September rolls around, we've got some big stories to cover today. Amari Cooper's status as a free agent and what the future holds for former Bills linebacker Von Miller. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us bring you the best Bills content all year round. Now, let's get into it. One of the biggest questions in free agency right now is where wide receiver Amari Cooper will land. Cooper was last a free agent in 2020 when he signed a massive 5-year contract with the Dallas Cowboys. Since then, he's played for Dallas, the Cleveland Browns, and most recently the Buffalo Bills. But at this point in his career, he isn't quite the same dominant receiver we saw in his prime. That's likely a major reason why Cooper remains unsigned weeks after the start of free agency. However, despite his recent struggles, he's still one of the top available players on the market. According to Bleacher Report writer Gary Davenport, on some level, it's a bit surprising that wide receiver Amari Cooper is still without a team. Over a decade in the NFL, Cooper has surpassed 1,000 yards 7 times. He's been named to 5 Pro Bowls, including as recently as 2023. Davenport makes a great point. Cooper has had an incredible career, proving himself to be one of the most consistent wide receivers in the league. But things changed dramatically for him last season. After being traded to the Bills midseason, Cooper never quite found his rhythm with Josh Allen and the offense. He finished the 2024 season with just 44 catches for 547 yards. Both career lows. Now teams are hesitant to give him a long-term deal. Instead, the expectation is that he will have to accept a short-term prove-it contract. The question is, which team will be willing to take a chance on him? With the NFL draft just weeks away, most teams will look toward young prospects to upgrade their receiving core. However, once the draft dust settles, teams that missed out on a top wide receiver might circle back to veterans like Cooper. He could still be a valuable addition to a contending team that needs experience at the position. What do you guys think? Should the Bills consider bringing Cooper back on a cheap short-term deal? Or is it time to move on? Let me know in the comments. On the defensive side of the ball, the Bills are adjusting to life without future Hall of Famer Von Miller, who was released earlier this offseason. Miller, once one of the most feared pass rushers in the league, struggled to live up to the massive contract he signed with Buffalo. Miller's numbers weren't terrible in 2024. He recorded 6 sacks, but considering he was making $20 million per year, it simply wasn't enough production for the Bills to justify keeping him on the roster. Still, that doesn't mean Miller's career is over. Gary Davenport of Bleacher Report had this to say about Miller's current situation. The edge rusher position is pretty picked over at this point. The remaining players generally fall into 2 categories. There are younger players with limited professional resumes and aging veterans on the downslope of their careers. Von Miller most assuredly fits into the latter category. The MVP of Super Bowl 50 is 36. But despite a rather disappointing tenure in Buffalo, Miller isn't ready to call it a career. Davenport makes a great point. Miller may not be the dominant force he once was, but that doesn't mean he can't still contribute in the right situation. He could be a valuable veteran presence for a team looking to add depth and experience to its pass rush. It's unlikely Miller will sign anywhere before the NFL draft. Teams will want to evaluate their options and see if they can land a younger, cheaper alternative first. However, after the draft, Miller could become an intriguing option for teams that still need an edge rusher. One potential role for Miller could be as a mentor for younger players. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience that could be invaluable to a team with young defensive talent. A team looking to add leadership and pass rushing depth like the Kansas City Chiefs or the San Francisco 49ers might see Miller as a worthwhile addition. While no team currently holds multiple first-round picks in the 2025 NFL Draft, a single trade could change that in a big way. The Bills, known for their aggressive draft night strategy in recent years, could make yet another bold move. NFL draft analyst Chad Reuter sees Buffalo as a prime candidate to trade up, with the Minnesota Vikings being the perfect trade partner. According to Reuters' hypothetical scenario, Buffalo would acquire Minnesota's number 24 overall pick in exchange for the Bills' number 30 selection, plus additional 4th and 5th round picks, number 109 and number 132. Given the Bills' recent draft history, moving up to select stars like Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid, and Kaya Elam, this kind of maneuver is right in GM Brandon Beane's wheelhouse. Minnesota is in a tough spot heading into the draft. Thanks to trades made in previous seasons, the Vikings currently hold just 4 total picks, the fewest of any team in the league. Adding more selections would allow them to address multiple roster needs, making them an ideal trade partner for a team like Buffalo, which has more draft capital to work with. Who would Buffalo target at number 24? So if the Bills do pull off this trade, who are they looking to grab? Reuters suggests a few key names: wide receiver Isaiah Horton, Miami, or Emeka Egbuka, Ohio State; defensive tackle Kenneth Grant, Michigan, or Derek Harmon, Michigan State; secondary help Nick Emenwari, South Carolina, or Azariah Thomas, Florida State. The Bills' recent free agency moves focus primarily on keeping their core intact rather than adding big-name talent from outside. They extended key players like Josh Allen, Christian Benford, Khalil Shakir, Greg Rousseau, and Terrell Bernard. But there are still holes in the roster that must be addressed, and the draft is the perfect opportunity. Despite winning 5 straight AFC East titles, Buffalo continues to struggle in the playoffs, failing to return to the Super Bowl since 1993. Injuries and late-game collapses have plagued them in recent years, proving that while they're a top-tier team, there's still work to be done. Let's break down some key areas where the Bills could improve. Buffalo boasts one of the best linebacker groups in the league, with Matt Milano, Baylon Spector, and Terrell Bernard. But keeping all 3 healthy has been a major challenge, often limiting the unit's effectiveness late in the season. Adding a young, high-upside linebacker through the draft would be a smart move. The Bills need some serious depth at DT, especially with the physicality of the AFC. A dominant interior presence could help take pressure off the linebackers and improve Buffalo's run defense. After trading Stephon Diggs to the Houston Texans, Buffalo is still searching for a true number 1 target for Allen. While Shakir has shown flashes, adding a dynamic playmaker like Horton or Egbuka could give Allen the weapon he needs to elevate this offense even further. Buffalo has solid cornerbacks in Taron Johnson, Dane Jackson, and Benford, but depth remains an issue. With a pass-happy AFC, adding a young, athletic DB would be a smart investment. Is this the move that gets Buffalo over the hump? The Bills are close, really close, to breaking through and reaching the Super Bowl. They've been consistently competitive, but a few key injuries and tough playoff losses have held them back. Could trading up in the draft to land an impact player be the move that finally puts them over the top? At number 24, Buffalo would have a much better chance of grabbing an elite prospect rather than waiting for whoever falls to number 30. We've seen this team be aggressive before, and if the right player is available, there's no doubt Brandon Beane will pull the trigger. The situations with Amari Cooper and Von Miller highlight the unpredictable nature of NFL free agency. Both players have had incredible careers, but now they find themselves in a bit of limbo. Cooper, despite his struggles last season, could still be an effective receiver in the right system. The question is whether a team will be willing to take the risk and give him another shot. Will the Bills consider bringing him back? Or is another team more likely to take a chance on the veteran wideout? Miller, on the other hand, faces a different challenge. At 36, he's no longer the same player he once was, but his experience and leadership still make him a valuable asset. It's just a matter of which team sees him as the right fit. So, Bills Mafia, what do you think? Should the Bills make a move to bring Cooper back? Is there still a role for Von Miller in Buffalo? Or is it time for the team to move on and focus on younger talent? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We've got plenty more Bills news and analysis coming your way. Go Bills!